Hey guys, John the Soda here, back again doing another movie review, and today we'll be reviewing Back to the Future. Now, Back to the Future is directed by Robert Zemeckis and features Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Lee Thompson, Crispin Glover, Thomas F. Wilson, Claudia Wells, and Donald Foley Love. So, the plot of Back to the Future is that we follow with this high school kid named Marty McFly, and he's like this kind of like this kind of cool high school kid. And he plays the rock guitar, and he has a girl, and like um he's cool, but he doesn't have it all. Like he's cool with school, but the teachers like don't really like him. Like they think he's too much or something like that. And at home, like his life is kind of poor in a way. Like his parents are really poor, and like they're just really depressed all the time. And like his father still gets picked on by his high school bully Biff. So yeah. And his father just always laughs like and yeah. And his they're both really wrinkly. His parents are really wrinkly. His mom is like really fat, and like his siblings don't really like live a really good life. So yeah. And like just Marty like doesn't really live a good life at home, but like he just really focuses a lot with himself with like the rock guitar and all of that. And he always hangs out with this scientist named Dr. Emmett Brown. So yeah, it's this scientist who kind of like sucks at what he always makes. Like he never makes anything that work, but then he manages to make something work. And then like one day he invites Marty to go to the uh, I forgot what it was called. I think it was called. I don't know. It was like a mall. It was a mall. I forgot what the mall was called, but like he told him to go to the mall and to watch him test his experiment. And his experiment is a time travel machine that made out of a DeLorean. So yeah. And he asks Marty to help test it with him. And so like he does. And he like so he tests it, and then like it actually works. Like he actually makes something that works. And Dr. Emmett Brown is like really shocked at this. And so yeah. And so like they test it with his, Emmett Brown's dog Einstein. So like, and then they bring back Einstein from the future, and then like the future is cold. So like he opens the door, and like it's really cold. So yeah. And Einstein has become the world's first time traveler. So yeah. And so them two decide to time travel too. But then before they can time travel, they see that Libyans are coming. The Libyans or something like that. And they go over there to kill Emmett Brown. And so they do that. And then they try to kill Marty too, but Marty goes in the DeLorean, and like he just tries to run away from them. But like once he runs away from them, he actually time travels. Like he goes through the time machine, and he goes to the year 1955, which is like 30 years earlier from from the time set he's from. So yeah, he goes to 1955, and like he's really confused on where he's at. And like he just doesn't want to believe that he's in 1955. So yeah. And then later on, he runs into his parents. He runs into his dad. Um, what was his name? How could I forget his name? He's one of my favorite characters. George McFly. Yeah. George McFly. He runs into his dad, and he sees like his dad's past, like him getting bullied by Biff all the time, and like he never like stood up for himself ever. So yeah, even as an adult, he never stood up for himself. So yeah. But I forgot to say this, but like the adult story of how the parents met was uh Marty was in the road. He was in the road, and like he accidentally got run over by by Lorraine's dad. And so they take George in, Did I say Marty or George before? I think forgive me if I said Marty before, but like they take George in the house and like they they just like keep him there, and like he spends the night, and then like Lorraine felt bad for him, so she took him to the enchantment under the sea dance, and then right there they got their first kiss. So that's how they fell in love. So yeah, but then that time loop gets completely fucked up, and like no, well, not completely, but it does get kind of screwed up. But like yeah, but instead of like George getting accidentally run over by the car, Marty ends up getting run over by the car. So yeah, and we see what George was doing in the road. He was actually stalking Lorraine. He was like stalking her while she was changing. He was, and then even Marty saw it, and he was like, "He's a peeping Tom." Yeah, and I do agree. So yeah, and like so like instead of him getting run over, like Marty saves him and he gets run over, and then like Lorraine starts like doing the stuff, um, starts doing the stuff she did with George. Not all of it, but like the start of it. So yeah, and like she even gets the hots for him too. Like she even gets like the hots for him, and like she wants him to spend the night. And he's like, "Oh no, 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 I can't. I gotta go." So yeah, and like he even sees that she's getting the hots for him. So yeah, so like after that, Marty goes to Emmett Brown's old home, and then he tells him all about like him and the Mandalorian. At first he doesn't believe him, but then he shows him the car and the flux capacitor and the video of what they took of when they time traveled. So yeah, he tells the young Doc Emmett Brown to help him go back to the year 1985, and so yeah. So he agrees to help him, but he tells him like, you must not interact with anyone in here. You have to stay with me by all costs. Did you interact with anyone at all by any means? And then he was like, well, I might have run into my parents, uh and then like Emmett Brown like knows something. He knows that he knows something. Like he tells him like, Marty, show me the picture of you with your siblings again. And then so like once he shows him that, it shows that his sibling's head is gone. So yeah, and like in the picture his head is gone, which is saying that like his siblings and him are vanishing from existence, because like if Lorraine and George don't fall in love, then like Marty won't be alive in the future once he comes back. So yeah, so he has to fix that. He has to like fix Lorraine, like instead of falling in love with him, she has to fall in love with George. So yeah, so like he just keeps going up to George and like tells him like tips on how he should get Lorraine and all of that. So yeah, and like once that happens, like Marty and Emmett like figure out like how he should get back to 1985. They go back by them like going through the like driving 88 miles per hour with like a string like attached to the DeLorean. I almost said Mandalorian. So a string attached to the DeLorean to like cover the lightning storm to the top of it, and so once they do that, he could go back to 1985. So yeah, that's basically the whole plot of Back to the Future. Now, do I like Back to the Future? Yes, I love Back to the Future. This is me. I forgot to mention it in the beginning. I'm continuing off my series of my top 15 favorite movies, and this is definitely one of them. I love Back to the Future. This movie is really good. It's a damn good classic. This is a classic right here. I love it so much, and like this movie was made when my mom was first born, and yeah, and I just love this movie so much, and yeah, I just felt the need to say that. So yeah, and like this movie is really good, and like the scenery was beautiful too. Like you actually like the scenery was actually really pretty. Like they really covered the 50s really well for an 80s movie. So yeah, yeah, and I just love like all the scenes with Marty. So let me think. Is there anything? Hold up. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. So I had to go eat. So yeah, but like Back to the Future, like it's a damn good classic, and like all the characters in this movie are really good. Marty is definitely my favorite character in this movie. I think he's everyone's favorite character too. I really like Marty in this movie. I love Marty actually, but like my second favorite character after him is a character that is so relatable to me. He is very relatable to me. Like literally, like he could be my favorite character too. But I like Marty just a smidge more. But like I love this character too. He's very relatable to me. Like by all means, very relatable to me. And that is George McFly. George McFly is very relatable to me. Like literally everything about him is very relatable to me. He is small, he's a nerd. He is a nerd. He never stands up for himself. He gets bullied all the time. He's a nerd. He likes girls so much. He writes stories. He's just very relatable to me, and I just love him so much. He's my second favorite. I don't know, like thinking about it now, I think maybe he might be my favorite character. Actually, I think maybe he might be my favorite character. Actually, thinking about it now, actually, I think maybe I might like him a little more than Marty now. So yeah, I think yeah, George McFly is definitely my favorite character in this whole movie. Actually, and yeah, I love him so much. He's just easily relatable to me. So yeah, and yeah, if you guys watch this movie, you guys might definitely know that he's very relatable to me. So yeah, and like and I love all the scenes with him like trying to get at Lorraine. Like I love all the scenes with him and Marty. Like Marty always giving him tips and all of that to like get at Lorraine and like to ask her out to the dance and all of that. So yeah, and I love how like how scared he is to do it and all of that. And like I just love how like he's just really he wants to watch his TV program while the dance is on, cause so he doesn't want to go. And that is so me right there. Yeah, that is definitely me right there. Like wanting to like watch something instead of go to the dance. So yeah, and I love like all the scenes with him and Marty, and like I love the scene where like he tries to get that Lorraine, and he's like, Lorraine, my density has popped me to you, and then he's like, I mean, and I'm your density. He's like, I'm your density and all of that, and then he's like, I mean, your destiny. Yeah, I really love that scene so much, and Lorraine really seems to like it. So yeah, and I actually did try to do that once. I actually did try to tell a girl I was her destiny, but it kind of failed actually. Like I didn't know that this movie was made in the '80s and like this and the '50s actually, and this like this whole like times change and like people change, and yeah, and like I didn't know about that. So like yeah, and like I did try that once with the girl, but like yeah, she did hate me. She kind of she didn't hate me for it. She just thought I was weird for it. She kind of disliked me. I wouldn't say hated me, but she kind of disliked me. Like but like whenever I would talk to her, she would kind of she would just fake that like she was interested in what I was saying and all of that. But I knew in the inside she didn't like me, because like there were a lot of signs of disinterest with her. So yeah, I won't say who it is. If you're watching the video, hey, you might know who you are. Uh, Okay, so yeah, I just know not to ever get tips from an old movie, but old new movies nowadays I do get a lot of tips from. Movies that still 80s movies that still hold up today, like Empire Strikes Back, I get a lot of tips from. So yeah, and you all might know how much I love Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, but like this movie definitely, some of it does not hold up today. Just a smidge of it does not hold up today, but like it's still pretty good though. A lot of it still holds up today actually, but like I just know not to do any tips from here actually. But like for the time being, it was actually pretty good tips actually. But yeah, but yeah, if you're watching, you might this is where I got that scene from. Just letting you know. So yeah, but like what was I gonna say? So yeah, I just really love George in this movie, and I love like in the end where like he stands up for himself from Biff, and like he punches him when like Biff was trying to rape Lorraine. So yeah, and that was a really cool thing. He actually stood up for himself and he became a man. And I think I might want to do that sometime when I get back when school reopens again and start picking on me again, because like I do get picked on like a smidge at times, but like yeah, I'll just probably stand up for myself and like be like be like how George becomes in the future. So yeah, just George was really good in this movie, and he's what really described like nerds. He described that like his character basically tells you that like even nerds and freaky people could be cool at times, and even they could be cool, and even they could like stand up for themselves, and they're not all useless, and even they are cool. So yeah, and that's why I love him so much, and that's what makes me think of myself too. That whole thing. So yeah. So just George, he's probably my favorite character in this entire movie, and he's really entertaining too. So yeah, and then Marty, he's really cool in this movie. Marty is really cool. Like he's kind of like the popular kid in school, to students, but not to adults though. But like, and then to the 1950s, he definitely becomes popular because like in the 1950s there were not no rock guitars, and there were, but like they weren't like used like crazily, and there wasn't no like skateboarding and all of that. So yeah. Mm. Sorry about that. I had something stuck in my teeth. So yeah. What else is there? Huh? Oh, Marty. Yeah, Marty. He. I just really love all the scenes with him, like him playing rock guitar and all of that, and like yeah. Him playing rock guitar actually inspired me to want to play the rock guitar, but like, sadly, all the schools I went to have not had any rock guitar class. They've had regular guitar classes, but no rock guitars. Like I tried the guitar classes in middle school, like once in one semester in seventh grade, which was like 3 years ago. But like I didn't really like the old guitar that much. But I've always wanted to play the rock guitar. But even my high school I go to doesn't even have a rock guitar class. But so yeah, I just never really got around to playing the rock guitar for some reason. But I've always wanted to. So yeah, and like I love all the scenes with him skateboarding too. Like this movie actually inspired a lot of people to want to do skateboarding too, myself included. But it is so difficult though. I've tried it. My uncles have a lot of like mini boards, and like I've tried to skateboard in them, but I keep tripping, and like it's just really hard, and like yeah, it's just really hard, and I really want to. I'm just really inspired by Mario to want to skateboard, but like I actually can't. But yeah, it's just really cool all the scenes with him skateboarding, and I love that scene where like he skateboards, like he like runs away from the bullies by skateboarding. He runs away from their car by skateboarding with one of the kids. Like I don't know what they're called, but if you've seen the movie, you might know what I'm talking about. But like he like splits it in two and it kind of creates a skateboard, and like he does that, and like he even like this was really cool too. Like he even like holds the back of a car to like help him skateboard, to like help the skateboard go faster. And yeah, that whole scene was really cool. Like him getting away from the bullies, and then like he actually does like stand up for the bullies for himself. And yeah, and like that whole scene was just really cool. And like he actually does manage to get away from them, and then the bullies end up like crashing into a pile of shit. So yeah. So yeah, and that scene was just really cool. Was just really cool. So yeah, and the soundtrack to this movie was amazing too. I love the soundtrack to this movie. You know, dun 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 dun. I just love the soundtrack to this movie. It's just amazing. From the soundtrack, you know you're hearing Back to the Future. So yeah, it's just this soundtrack was just perfect for the movie. So yeah, I love the soundtrack to this movie. So. I think Alan Silvestri made the soundtrack to this movie, but he's not really popular as John Williams. But he's very underrated. He's a very underrated composer, and I love all the music he does. Like he did the music for I think Jurassic World, and then he did the music for all the Avengers movies. So yeah, I love Alan Silvestri. So yeah. So back to Marty. Like I really like him, and you can really tell that he wants to get back to 1985. So yeah, and I love all the scenes with him and Emmett Brown. So yeah, all the scenes with him and Emmett Brown are really entertaining too. So yeah, and like and I love Emmett Brown in this movie too. Like he's a really cool scientist. I'll get to him in a bit, but like Marty was really cool, and like Marty like. I just love like him like wanting to get back to 1985, and you can really tell that he doesn't want to die too. So yeah, And I just really love like all the scenes with him in the 1950s and all of that. Him like getting him like already getting used to it and all of that, and like him with yeah just yeah. I just love all the scenes with him. And is there anything else? Yeah, and he's a really good person to get for advice too from those times. So yeah. And I love that scene where like he manages to get George to ask Lorraine to the dance, because this hilarious scene where like he because like George was like a freak for sci-fi books, and then like Marty like disguises himself as like a space person, and then like he like puts headphones and a rock and roll music in his ears to show that he's like an alien. And then yeah, that was just really funny. And then he's like, and then like Marty's just really scared by it, and then he's like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "I am Darth Vader, and I'm from the planet Vulcan." Yeah, that scene was just really funny. So, what else is there? Yeah, he was just really cool. He was really funny at times too. And like, is there anything to his character that was as compelling as George? Let me think. Uh, yeah, just like he was really a good character for like getting along with his parents in the past and all of that. So yeah, and like he was just his character kind of told that like let me think. His character told that like even the kids can even the kids can be let me think. What's that word? Let me think. It shows that even the kids could be better than the parents at times, and even the kids could be. It just shows that even the kids could love their parents a lot, and even them could like they can see their troubles, and like it's just a metaphor for like what the kids would want if they were going through like hard times with their parents. So yeah, yeah, it's just really cool. So yeah. And then there comes Dr. Emmett Brown. He's a really cool character too. I like him a lot too. He's really cool, and like you can really tell that this is a scientist that would fail in all his experiments back in the day, and his first one that worked was the DeLorean. So yeah, and like you could just he was really cool too. I loved Christopher Lloyd's performance as him. Like he's like 1.21 gigawatts, or like holy, he's like great Scott, we great Scott, we have to go back, we have to take you back in time. Like I just love his performance in this movie. So yeah, I don't think anyone else could have played Dr. Emmett Brown as good as Christopher Lloyd. So yeah, he's really cool. So yeah, and he's still, Christopher Lloyd still looks the same as he did in 1985. So yeah, and like yeah, he's just really cool in this movie, and you can really tell that this is a scientist that really wants to bring back Marty. So yeah, and like you can really tell that he just loves science so much. So yeah, he's just a really cool scientist. So yeah, uh, let me think. Is there anything else about this movie? I think that's it about Emmett Brown. So, and I really liked Lorraine Baines, Marty's mom. All those scenes with her getting at Marty were kind of gross. They weren't gross to me, but they were just kind of like I mean, they don't. She doesn't know that he's his son yet, but like, uh, it's just kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's just like, kind of uncomfortable where that came from. So yeah, that's basically what it is. But like, it's just like, but like. I don't really have a huge problem with them, but they're still really entertaining, and like they're kind of funny too. Like all the scenes with like Lorraine like having the hots for Marty, it's kind of funny too. Like there's this one scene where like Marty like gets George to like try to get at her, but then like she doesn't even look at George, and she just walks to Marty, and then she's like, "Marty, I hope you're feeling better," and all of that. So yeah, that scene was really funny. And then like the school bell rings, and then she's like, "Isn't he a dream?" Yeah, and I love all the scenes with her just admiring Marty so much when he like skateboards through from the bullies, and like she even wants to invite him to the dance. So yeah, I just really love her in this. I really love her in this movie, and I love how like she. I love the scene where like her and Marty kiss, a little uncomfortable where that came from, but like from there she like kind of thinks that like I don't know what it is, but when I'm kissing you, it's like I'm kissing my brother. And yeah, that scene was pretty cool. And then from there, that's when like Marty gets beat up and he gets into a trunk, and then that's where, and then like Biff like ends up like raping Lorraine, and then like that's where like George comes in and he stands up for himself. And then I love the scene where like Lorraine like really like likes George now for like beating up Biff, the boy that was raping her, and yeah, and I just love from there she falls in love with George. So yeah, uh, let me think. Uh, is there anything else about her? So I just love like the scene where like her and George like dance in the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. So yeah. Uh, well, let me think. And I love when they kiss in that scene, but like before they do, like another boy like takes away Lorraine from George, and then he just at first you think he's gonna walk away, but then he's like, "Hey, but take your hand." He was just like, "Hey," and then he just like he just shoves him away, and then he takes Lorraine, and then he kisses her, and then that's what saves George's life, cause I mean that's what saves Marty's life, cause in that scene Marty was vanishing slowly and slowly, and he was about to die in that scene, but then like when they kissed, that brought back Marty, and it's just really satisfying to see that Marty's is alive now. So yeah, I just love that scene so much. And then right there, Marty gets so happy that he plays Johnny Be Good on the guitar, because like he goes on the show to like to play for Lorraine and George. So yeah, and I just love where like he plays Johnny Be Good, and Johnny Be Good is very catchy to me, and like I listen to it sometimes. So yeah, yeah, and I just love how like at first the 50s children were the 50s teenagers like were really into it, but at the end they're just like okay, what is that? So yeah, I just love that thing so much, and I love how he's like, well, I guess you all aren't ready for that action yet, but your kids are gonna love it. So yeah, I love that scene. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, and I just love where like Marty sees that George and Lorraine are in love now. So yeah, and then he tells them like stuff so they won't get completely confused, and then he's just like, oh hey, when you get a kid and he does fire on the living room rug and he's barely 8, go easy on him. So yeah, I love that scene so much. So yeah. Let me think, and I really like Biff too. Biff was a really cool bully. Like you can really tell that this is a bully, and I love like where like he's always picking on George, and he's like when George is like hesitating, he's like, hello, anybody home? Yeah, so yeah, and I love where like he's like, hey McFly, your shoes aren't tied, poo. So yeah, Biff was really cool in this movie. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Biff that I want to talk about? So yeah, and I just again I love where George stands up for himself from Biff. So yeah, and I love how in the once Marty comes back to 1985, everything is fixed now, and his life is heaven now. And he got the car he always wanted from before he went to that time traveling machine. So yeah, and then like his parents are love each other now, and they're a lot more thinner now, and they look a lot more younger now. So yeah, and like George is even like a novelist, and he writes a lot of sci-fi novels now. So yeah, and I just his life at once he comes back is heaven now. So yeah, and I just love that so much. So yeah, and then Biff becomes George's secretary, actually. Like he becomes like the person to like do everything for him. So yeah, and that was really cool. So yeah. So, and that's what you get from standing up to yourself. So yeah, and I just love that so much. So this movie was really good. All the characters were really good. So yeah, the scenery was amazing in this movie. So yeah, the actors all did such an amazing job. Like Crispin Glover, he was like 21 doing this movie, and he was amazing as George McFly. Michael J. Fox was like 24 doing this movie, and he was amazing as Marty. And like Lee Thompson, amazing. Christopher Lloyd was amazing. Thomas F. Wilson was just amazing. So yeah, the comedy. This movie was a comedy too at times, and it worked. Like there's this one scene where like the Goldie Wilson, who becomes mayor in the future, he tells George, why don't you just stand up for yourself? And then he's like, I know one day I'm gonna be someone. And then Marty's like, that's right, he's gonna be mayor. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be mayor. I could run for mayor. And then he tells his boss at the coffee shop, he's like, you know what? I'll run for mayor and I'll clean this whole place up. And then he's like, oh really? You could start by sweeping the floor. Yeah, that scene was really funny. So yeah. Was there any other comedy moment I should think of? Uh, I think that's it. There's another one, but there's some more, but like I don't want to get into it right now. The pacing was amazing to this movie. This movie's like 2 hours long, but it goes by really fast though. So yeah. And I also really love that scene where like how the movie ends with like uh Doc like reads the note that Marty gave him so he won't die in the future, and then he gets a bulletproof vest when the Libyans kill him. So yeah, and he becomes alive. So yeah, to rate this movie, I'll definitely rate it an A+. Yeah, this movie's really good. So bye and see you all in the next